It's time once again to see what's up with Down the Rabbit Hole, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to see how stuff goes, and we're starting off really excellently. We just got done doing a giveaway on stream. Looks like we're going to talk about Goon Swarm right here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Get your drinks, cozy up, enjoy mining and the second monitor content. Let's see what Down the Rabbit Hole has for us, y'all. Let's see.
With all other major competitors in nullsec eliminated, the Goons and their federation had very few enemies with the resources to combat them. After consolidating their vast new territory, their first order of business was a name change. In April of 2015, the Mittani, leader of the Goons, announced that the CFC would be changing its name to the Imperium, something far more palatable to a vast swath of onlookers. While perhaps less representative of the attitude of the Goons and their allies in the past, this was a symbolic representation of their new stated purpose of becoming not only the most powerful, but the dominant force in the entire game. To the Mittani, whose flair for the dramatic and desire for attention were well documented, the expletive in the Cluster Coalition's name was a reflection of the irreverent nature of the Goons, but a liability to his goal of appealing to onlookers from outside of the game, who had been hesitant to even call them by their name. Articles in national media outlets such as Forbes had an obviously positive effect on morale, and gave the players a stronger incentive to join fleets when called, suggesting...
Of course it did. This is actually super interesting that we've got these massive battles that are honestly, the time dilation, in my opinion, makes it like not super fun. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Loru, Lunchtime Lore is actually a really good name. I like that. Sheesh. Goon is good. Goon is goon. How would you feel, chat, if you're playing a video game and the New York Times is reporting on what you're doing? You feel pretty good about that, huh?
That they were cementing their place in history. Later that year, he would attempt to crystallize this concept far more clearly. On November 3rd, 2015, the Mittani and military fiction author Jeff Edwards announced the opening of a Kickstarter to begin production on a book titled The Fountain War, named for the eponymous conflict in which the CFC had annihilated the Reddit-based Test Alliance. Notably, Crowd Control Productions had also chosen to endorse the project. The opening of the description read, quote, "The Fountain War book project brings best-selling author Jeff Edwards together with the Mittani Media and CCP in creating the first-ever book about EVE Online based on real player experiences. The resulting..."
Did anybody actually read this book? Was it good? Was it worth looking into? And I agree with what you say, Pacifist. Love him or hate him, Mittens, but the Mittani, the man, did more for EVE excitement than I think any other player. I got to agree. Now, infamy is not something I ascribe to, okay, like being in infamy. But I can't deny this person's effect on the game and how they actually helped the game reach, let's call it, the main sphere. This kind of undertaking is really good, really interesting, albeit probably riddled with propaganda. But still, was this good? Did y'all like it?
Novel will be the first book of a completely new genre,
true, Pacifist.
Sci-fi nonfiction. On the afternoon of July 28, 2013, the armadas of interstellar empires clashed. Millions died, billions destroyed. It might have happened in a fictional universe, but that doesn't make it any less true. This is the Fountain War, the war that changed gaming history. A galactic firestorm that culminated in the largest single battle in gaming history, the fall of 6VDT. It consumed the players of EVE Online, it astounded the worldwide gaming community, and it commanded the attention of the mainstream press.
I mean, that's pretty sick. I love this idea. But just because it was a virtual world doesn't mean that players and people still didn't do it. You know what I mean? It's a real, it's, what do you call it? Science fiction? Non-fiction sci-fi? Something, whatever, because sci-fi means fiction, but non-fiction science book. I didn't finish college. This is a really good idea, chat. I like it.
Then allow those memories and fascinating narratives to fade, we're going to immortalize those experiences by creating a world-class retelling of the Fountain War. A gut-wrenching thriller based on battle archives, in-game communication transcripts, and the testimonies of combatants from all sides of the conflict. Combining the remarkable writing talent of Jeff Edwards with the strength and support of CCP Games and the Mittani Media, this book is destined to captivate science fiction, action, suspense, and military fiction fans everywhere. End quote. The campaign was asking for $150,000, a number that seemed reasonable to those organizing the campaign.
I mean, yeah.
For years, the Goons have been taking sponsorships to push games besides EVE Online to the Alliance, business ventures that have
Really? PlanetSide 2 makes sense. League of Legends, dude. Okay. Do you think EVE will ever see a battle on that scale again? I think so. Records are made to be broken, right? I think as we get more players in EVE, you heard from the director's letter recap that we did that last year, more dreads were killed than the previous year and the previous year. So it was I think the most dreads in 1 year killed ever, I think is what they said. Maybe it wasn't ever. Maybe it was just in recent 5 years. I think so. I think you need somebody to rally against and rally with, right? So if you have, this guy was a polarizing figure for his propaganda and for his leading this, coalition of corporations. And there was a lot happening at the time. And you kind of need these stories to have this upswell of people and work to happen, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I like what he's doing. Because what this Mitani guy has done is he's taken his propaganda and he's basically made it as close to history as possible, which makes it as close to true as possible. So it immortalizes him and his people. And yes, it's probably mostly from their perspective, right? So it makes it like, look how good we are. They're probably the good guys in that story. You know what I'm saying? They're probably the good guys, but it's still interesting. So you also need it to be so that individual players don't have to spend too much to take part. I think that every person can do their part, right? This is where like the director's letter had this idea that like they're going to have freelancing become more of a thing in EVE, where you don't have to be part of an alliance to work with an alliance. Whereas right now, if it's not blue, I shoot it. That's just, if I'm in Parchment and you ain't blue, you gonna die. Like that, it do be like that. What if there's like, oh yeah, that guy mines. He works with us. He sells us cheap ore. We don't want to mess with him. But then it's like, oh, just bring him into the alliance. Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he wants to sell to both parties and play the field. I like this idea. I like the idea of like freelancers in EVE. We'll see where that goes. Okay, chat. We will definitely see where that goes.
Proven lucrative to both parties. Similarly, this project would be pushed to their constituent members. But onlookers were dubious. The project's Kickstarter page included a writing sample near the bottom, and a piece of historical revisionism was already immediately apparent. Though they had been known as the Cluster Coalition during the war, the name had conspicuously been changed to the Imperium, the new name chosen only 7 months prior. This change led many to believe that this project would simply be another piece of goon propaganda.
Which, fair. But I'll tell you, is this important? I think it's very important to say what actually happened. This is important. They shouldn't have changed the name. They should have kept doing it as like Cluster F or like the CF fleet, right? Because maybe they were trying to do that from a sellability standpoint. They didn't want the F word in their book all over the place, right? But if we're telling stories about what happened, we have to say what happened, right? And the revisionist stuff, I can totally see how that's like not, people wouldn't like that. If the point if the point of this is to talk about what happened and to glorify the work you and the boys did, and then you name it something that happened after the fact. It's like if we talk about the Ottoman Empire on what it is now instead of what it was then. Like, no, you're going to say the Ottoman Empire did X, Y, Z from these years. You're not going to say, what is it, Turkey? Areas around Turkey, like Turkey, in the 1300s. It wasn't Turkey then, it was Ottoman Empire. And maybe it was. I didn't finish college like we've said. I don't like this. You need to say what happened. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Good reference.
But not even the goons themselves seemed terribly excited about the project. Significantly shy of meeting their goal, the project was only able to raise $39,000 from 758 backers,
Sucks.
a quarter of what they needed.
Sucks.
The Mitani's official statement on the Kickstarter's cancellation made clear his frustration. It read in part, quote, "In about an hour, I'm going to nuke the Kickstarter for the Fountain War and announce that it will be relaunched in March without all the stupid and now obvious f***ups. The 150k funding goal, the backer rewards, the shipping costs, the lack of sample fiction, the whole thing was rushed as f***, and an easy win turned into an opportunity for our enemies to come at us with long knives and settle scores. The ultimate..."
If you put out a product, and I'm a marketer, in my trade for more than a decade now. If you have a product and you put it out and it isn't bought, it's because the people don't want it. You can talk about the marketing of it. You can talk about all this other stuff. And maybe all of this is true. Maybe. What I'm trying to tell you is an EVE Online book would have been eaten up probably if it wasn't obvious about some revisionist stuff that was happening. That's kind of what the video maker is showing us. Like, look, there was some history revising, and then because of that, it didn't really work. And then this guy's mad at like everything else. He's like blaming everything else. If I'm trying to get a successful product in March, I'm not going to come in and blame my entire team and the viewers, right? Like the shipping costs, internal team, lack of sample fiction, internal team. Whole thing was rushed as F in the internal team. Easy win was turned into an opportunity for our enemies. So you're basically saying that like anybody that didn't back this is your enemy, is like kind of how it reads. So this is a good business and marketing lesson. Like if you put something out and it doesn't work, bow out with grace. Because, Chad, you heard me say it, how you do something is just as important as what you do. And if the goal is to immortalize, this dude wants to be immortalized in fiction. What's the line from not in his mind, not fiction, because it did happen. What's the line from A Knight's Tale? I will eviscerate you in fiction, immortalize you with pen and paper. Chaucer, the writer, that's one of my favorite movies, Jim. If your goal is to have a book come out about Eve, then maybe don't like belittle your entire internal team. Even if all this is true, it just doesn't feel good, Chet, so it doesn't feel good. So there could be a new branch of Corp management and a really big null block opening the market for competition into hauling or supplying. Could be good margins with those numbers, might be somewhat justified for that work. There it is. See, Mr. Secco, you're right that this could be something new and interesting. Any new system can be used lucratively. We just got to find out a way to do it. So what's one of the main lessons? Know your market. Yeah. Your messaging is part of your product. So if this is the messaging, we'll see. Internet's doing better, I think, James. I think.
Ultimate responsibility is mine.
We're in Eve
We've
now.
never listened to outside experts on anything, but for some reason on this one, even though my intuition was screaming that was wrong, I did the, what do I know? I just run a big space guild. And next thing you know, the whole coalition is attached to a f***ed up version of what is legitimately a really cool project. The f*** up was not outsiders led us astray, blame them. The f*** up was listening to them at all. Whose fault? Mine. Every one of you got dragged along behind that mess, and I've been kicking myself non-stop since it began, and I'm sorry.
Okay. Hey, at least he says it's his fault. If something fails, it's the boss's fault. We've said this before. If a project fails, it's the CEO's fault. You can blame the workers all you want. You can blame the internal team, but it's your fault. You as the vision, you as the project head need to be organizing and executing the project enough to get the stuff done. If the project fails, it's the CEO's fault. That's it. That's it. So.
The most obvious fuck-up was not making a thread on goonfleet.com saying, yo, here's what we want to do, how should we do this, and what rewards and pricing, etc. do you guys think would be cool, and all this would have been avoided. End quote. Their Imperial aims in-game...
Don't really agree with that. No. I don't think the whole thing could have been avoided if he polled his internal community. I agree, Parser. Less accountability, more everybody else sucks. I'm sorry. It doesn't read like a very magnanimous thing. Polling your community can be helpful about what they want. But if you just poll goonfleet.com, which is mostly goons, mostly members of that alliance, you're just going to get what they want. But this is supposed to be something about all of Eve. So the Goon Fleet is going to say, like, make us look good and give us rewards. Like, what rewards can you do for a book? You can have, like, the digital version. You can have the physical version. You can have, like, maybe some pins about it, whatever, to, like, commemorate the event. But this is my job. I help take products and take them to market. So that way they actually sell well and they're actually understood by the consumer. Okay. So polling can be useful, but is it the one silver bullet that would have made it work? Hindsight's 2020. We can never know for sure. I can tell you that this attitude, if I'm reading this, because this was a public thing, I don't want to buy the next book. I'm reading this and I'm like, I don't want to buy this. Did this book come out? And if so, has anybody read it? I'm sure we'll see in the rest of the section. We'll see.
However, would remain unperturbed, and their boldness and confidence would be illustrated well in the public demands that they would soon make. On November 30th, 2015, the Mittani released a statement titled, Minifo, there's only one way to deal with Rome. The naming scheme of the goons' internal bureaucracy mirrored that of George Orwell's book 1984, with Mini used as shorthand for ministry. The side of the page was adorned with an advertisement for the doomed Kickstarter project. The release read in part, quote, "The Imperium is delighted to present a new department within our bastion of civilization and prosperity, the Ministry of Foreign Oversight, aka Minifo, Fofo. The Ministry of Foreign Oversight exists to promote imperial values of unity, discipline, and victory in regions near Imperium space but outside of direct sovereignty control. It is our hope that through Minifo, we can bring civilization and order to a galaxy which has increasingly descended into incoherent, screeching barbarism. We will usher in a new era of enlightenment and opportunity to those who are not yet able to call themselves imperial citizens or experience
some pretty heavy RP chat. What the heck? This kind of stuff can sell. It can. It could sell units. But juxtaposed with the previous thing, I doubt it would.
The security, prosperity, and variety we enjoy in the galactic
A little
Northwest.
bit, Papa. A little
Representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Oversight offer loyal Imperial subjects a number of benefits in return for a small bi-monthly fee. We understand that as a new dark age sweeps across the unenlightened territories of New Eden, some will undoubtedly refuse the kind and polite entreaties of Minifo in their attempts to elevate their situation. To aid in the establishment of a dominion, the Imperium's Black Fleet has been tasked to ensure that pacification and security are established in a smooth and orderly fashion. Look forward to civilization. Look
Straight
forward
Corp
to the
speak.
arrival of the
Literal.
Ministry of Foreign Oversight and
Yes.
its smiling, polite representatives. Help and hope are on the way.
I gotta tell you, it's well written. It reads like a threat. It reads like a sheathed knife. It's really good storytelling. This guy should write a book. It's good. It is. Well, credit where credit is due. It reads like a sheathed knife. It really is interesting to see how, like, you read this and you're just like, this dude is like, is he right behind me right now? Like, it's very scary. So, right, exactly. Quality.
This release was dotted with links that left little room for interpretation of the Mittani's aggressive and tyrannical intentions.
Yes.
For example, the words small bi-monthly fee linked to a clip from the movie Goodfellas hosted on YouTube titled F You, Pay Me,
Yes.
in which the extortion and support system of the Italian mafia was explained in basic terms. The words Black Fleet linked to the Wikipedia page for Black Ships, the Japanese name for the European ships used to force open Japanese ports to Western trade, and the words smooth and orderly fashion linked to a clip from the television show Firefly, in which the captain of the smuggling ship Serenity kicks a bandit leader into an engine turbine after he swears vengeance. The following day, the Imperium announced how this subjugation would take place. The
Look, sometimes, can I be honest with you, champ? I don't go in for this RP stuff, man. I think it's kind of lame. I just want to play a video game with my buddies and roll around and go from there. This stuff, it kind of, I don't know why. I have to think about it more, but it kind of stinks. Something about it doesn't sit right with me. I know it's like it's a video game and he's role playing or something. It's not real. Something about it kind of stinks. There's right. It's definitely ice cold for sure. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the kind of person I am. I'm not about dorky. I'm not sure if it's dorky, JM Lusa. I don't know. I can see RP being fun. It's not real. What do you mean it's not real? So I'm a closet thespian. See, it's just the kind of mind I have. I was not an actor ever. I see this kind of stuff. Put it this way. I don't like cosplaying as a villain. Right? I think there's enough villains in real life. If I'm going to cosplay, I'm going to cosplay as like a knight, or somebody to help. It's just the kind of man I am. Man I try to be, We all try, Chan. So it's just one of those weird things where Paladin, it's funny, I did not play a Paladin. I played a Death Knight. And you might say, Loru, I thought you were going to help people. I did. I loved the lore of a Death Knight, where like you're this corrupted thing and you break free of the hold the Lich King has on you, and you use the power he granted you to fight against him. Oh, I love that. Love that, dude. Love that. It's fantastic. So DK since vanilla, yes, sir. Since vanilla. Right, since Wrath, obviously. So Wormhole Police, dude, Vinny does really good job at, that's funny. See, that's more like silly, funny. This is like, linking clips of people being killed. Yeah, it goes beyond what I think is appropriate. I think we'll just put it that way. So it makes for a good story, but again, it's just a bit much. Are we playing a video game, dude? Come on, it's just a little bit too much. So, it's absolutely crazy. So just remember, the best media, they always give you something to love or hate. That's true. And look, I can't deny the marketing. We're talking about it. We're talking about it. So, right? Tomato, there it is. And look, y'all don't have to agree with me with this. This is one of the reasons why this is good for the game. Maybe it is that now we can talk about it and we can see what's up. I do respect the level of effort that went into this. I just think it goes too much. So we're not doing a Thursday fleet today. No. So yes, Grass Blue. Yeah, for sure. So let's see. Thanks for the new follows, y'all. Thanks.
Royalty program.
Sure.
The most remarkable aspect of these demands was that they weren't limited to those in nullsec. This extended to the twilight regions of low security space as well, where pirates and griefers plied their ships to the purpose of destroying and claiming whatever they could.
Cool.
In a public post, the propaganda arm of the Imperium announced that, quote, "The Imperium's plan, organized under the Ministry of Foreign Oversight, involves viceroys, or governors, contacting regional leaders with an offer that comes with two options.
This is sick.
The first option is to take the benefits package of the Imperium in return for simple, reasonable bi-monthly fees and/or tribute. The second option is much more violent. If a subject alliance denies the offer, the full might of the Imperium will deploy and exterminate the subject alliance's sovereignty and assets."
I gotta tell you, that's pretty sick. Yo, that's...
Sign this contract. When you sign, you will give our Lord, just how this reads, tribute. If you do this, you will fight for us. You will acquire the assets from other people. If you don't sign this, we're going to freaking kill you, dude.
That's pretty sick. I gotta tell you, that's some top tier RP. That's pretty cool. Because now look, we're in the game. It's about stuff in the game. I think what kind of rubbed me the wrong way about the last stuff was he was linking to YouTube videos of people being killed. That's like too much, right? This is pretty sick. You're in the game. It's like, look, if you work with us, then and really like pay us to protect you, right? Protect you. Then we're not going to take you out. It's basically it's a different way to do the mining permits that you see some of these high-sec gankers do. Right, shotgun missionary. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. This is kind of cool, And I like that in EVE you get to do this kind of stuff. Maybe we'll see some of this in Dune Awakening or something.
At first, there will be loads of resistance and rebellion, but that is the point. Resistance means war, and war means everyone gets to shoot spaceships.
That's true.
End quote. The different benefits...
That's why I think it's good for the game, by the way, because more people undocking, more people fighting, more people playing. That's the point of EVE. It's a tooth and claw, kill or be killed, take what you can, kind of game, right? Now, I like to say, take what you can so you can help those around you, right? Some people like to say, take what you can so you can get more money, right? So that's that.
Benefits and tribute methods were detailed below this, but the proposal...
Things they won't do. No blue standings. They will not defend your structures. They will not heal your stuff or like work with you for information. They will not give you sovereignty. Possible benefits. Bro, this is so good. They don't even guarantee. Pay us and we might do this. Might. This is so good. Discounted high investment goods. Sure. Titans discounted. Titans super characters. Outputs. Discounted possible super capitals. Subjects can put an alt corp in GSF and build super... What is GSF? I thought I knew what that means. Is that like Goon Swarm Federation space? Yeah. Right. Build super titans for their own members, not the open market. You have to use them. Right? It might be, James, but this is kind of the point, right? Is that they're literally... They're not saying you're our friend. They're saying pay us and we might not kill you. in the in-game, of course. Actually, though, this is so it sounds way better than my current method. You know what I'm saying? You might get their metrics tool. Guides, how to set up stuff. Sure. Possible, and here's possible. Mini love exemption. Those who bend the knee won't be blown up en route to Jeddah. Additional monthly fee for safety. This is cool, man. It's wild.
Proposals were
cool.
comical in their boldness and almost certainly intended to trigger an aggressive and hostile response.
Right, and correct. This is the point. It's like, it's so offensive. It's like, I ain't working with you. And then they're like, fine, we'll kill you anyway. You know? Interesting.
Eve News 24 attempted to capture the general sentiment in an article titled Imperium Viceroyalty Met with Defiance.
Yes.
Quote, this announcement has effectively declared hostilities on the rest of New Eden.
Yep.
The Imperium has officially begun the Viceroyalty program and is actively targeting groups in neighboring regions. End quote. Below was included an exchange between an Imperium Viceroy and one of the alliances that they intended to subjugate. After the
So you have 5 corps in your alliance. That's $2 billion per corp. Each month, $10 billion is expected in the tax. $10 billion a month. His name is Merovingian. We're bit nails to the head there, chat. Sheesh. Actual mining permits. Yeah, actual mining permits. That's jack all, man. I make more than that on my own. As per your moon goo, we recommend Fountain. Sure. We want to know who's working on what. That good faith deposit is 10 billion. 2 weeks, your regular tribute will begin. 117 billion. I'm sorry, I don't follow. 117 billion ISK is what you guys are going to pay us to stop burning your assets to the ground when you come here. Send Mittens my regards. I don't understand this. So this guy is saying, you're going to give me 10 billion. I can make it on my own. And then this other guy who's, I think the Merovingian guy is not in Goon Swarm, is saying you're going to pay us. So just kidding. You're going to pay us. Send the Mittani Mittens my regards. I guess they call him Mittens to make fun of him, right?
Viceroy demanded a 10 billion ISK deposit and informed them that their tribute would be expected every 2 weeks. The leader of the alliance, Merovingian, said 117 billion. The Viceroy replied, 117 billion, I'm sorry.
Oh, it is. So Merovingian is on Goons.
Sorry, I don't follow. Merovingian continued, 117 billion ISK. It's what you guys are going to pay us to stop burning your assets to the ground when you come here. Send Mittens my regards. End quote. Here, the name Mittens is a nickname for the Mittani, used either affectionately or derisively, depending on the context. It would only be days before the Imperium began their assault on the low-sec empires, but they were met with stiff resistance by the largest corporations, including snuffed out and psychotic tendencies, who were able to turn fights against them, even when outmatched. Inspired by their first unlikely victory, the rest of low-sec decided that, for the first time in history, it was time for the various pirates, bandits, and griefers to band together and ward off this threat to their way of life, creating an entity that they named Low-Sec Voltron. Speaking to Crossing Zebras, Imperium...
That's so awesome. Yo, Eve is great, dude. You get these stories. I mean, look, the Imperium clearly, they just, this is a very, very long-winded way of saying, we're going to come kill your stuff. That's basically what it's doing. And they might get some people to pay them, but like, they clearly don't even want to be paid because that one guy was like, give me 117 billion. This is pretty sick. Low-sec Voltron. That's pretty cool.
Fleet Commander Lemba said, quote, low-sec entities are ridiculously good at fighting with smaller numbers, but with more proficiency. The Imperium's idea of null-sec fighting is far different from what is needed for low-sec fighting. The first few times, including a fight I commanded, we got wasted. It doesn't matter how many numbers you bring. If the enemy brings a fat comp with perfect logi and implants and outplays you, there is nothing you can do but die. End quote.
Sure.
If the Imperium was to subjugate New Eden, they would have to do so inch by inch, and it was clear that this group was more than a match for the forces of the Imperium, repelling them in multiple battles against bad odds.
Nice.
But this war would not be allowed to continue for long, for soon, a force long believed to be in repose would suddenly awaken, and their actions would drastically alter the fate of New Eden.
Yo, what a cliffhanger, y'all. What a freaking cliffhanger. Okay, look, we're going to do section 21 next time. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter because these end up being like hours and hours long. And sometimes they will be longer, sometimes they'll be shorter. Really awesome to hang out with y'all and watch the history of New Eden. Look how awesome this is. Thank you very much for all of this, chat. We've really enjoyed just watching this with you. Here's the full Down the Rabbit Hole playlist. If you missed any of these, go check them out. And if you want to sub for all of the best Eve guys and Eve news, it's right here. We'll see you in the next video, y'all. Thanks very much.